We can go ahead and just read through these and look at some examples of kind of the things you would see. And
Mhm.
then if there is any question, because DSM is literally all scenarios, what do you suspect they have? It's not a lot of DSM. That's why it's not much. I mean, it's a good section, but it's not where you need to spend most of your time, like helping relationships and assessments and other stuff like that. Okay. So tonight. I just figured we can look at some of these practice scenarios and see if we can pull out by using our context clues and testing strategies to see if we can get the answer. Okay. Now, the answers are on the side. So that's why you see I have these sticky notes on the side so you can't see the answer until I move it.
We can
Okay.
see the answer
No.
because, yeah, the sticky side is not on there.
Yeah, it says A.
Yeah, well, that stops the whole thing. Well, maybe we can just look and see why so you cannot see.
Well, we can still pull out the symptoms and stuff
Yeah,
if
you can
that's,
pull it out. I
yeah,
just wanted to see the best so you can see what y'all can do. I am gonna need a little participation because I don't want to read all night. So I
I'll
guess we
start
can
first.
read this and look at what dissociative amnesia and dissociative fugue is, because those are some things you would see. One on the NTE and two something in therapeutic in your sessions anyway. So can somebody start with reading one?
Yeah, I'll take one. A therapist on an inpatient unit conducts an intake with a 40-year-old man who was transported to the hospital by the police after an altercation in a park. He is unable to provide a medical or social history and reports having no memory before he arrived at the hospital. A police check reveals that he is an executive of a large company in a nearby city who was laid off a few days ago.
Mm.
At the end, oh, at the end of his week-long stay in the hospital, he has recovered his memory. The most likely diagnosis is A, dissociative amnesia with dissociative fugue, B, facetious disorder,
Mm-hmm.
C, post-traumatic stress disorder,
Mm-hmm.
D, acute stress disorder.
Okay, do anybody know what factitious disorder is? It's a real thing.
No, but let me, I
No.
can look it up real
It
quick.
is actually
Um,
some, it used to be called, well, it's in the umbrella of hypochondriacs. Have you ever heard of that?
mhm.
Yes, so factitious disorder is people who come to like the ER and are they constantly go to the doctor because they say I something's wrong with me, something wrong with me, and really nothing is really wrong with them. Sometimes they like to lie, and who it was a series on Lifetime about this woman who loved the attention she was getting when she told people she had cancer. So it's a fake, it's fake, but to them it's real. But that's, of course, we know that that's a mental health problem, right? So it's a factitious disorder because technically they really don't have anything, but to them they feel like they really do have something, but it's really to feed off of the sympathy of people. And
like
then
my
yes,
like Munchausen
Munchausen,
disorder.
yes.
Yeah,
Munchausen used to be called hypochondriac.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we all know what PTSD is, right? Is this guy showing any signs of PTSD?
No.
And what about acute stress disorder?
Now it could. I would have thought. I'm gonna tell you why I would have thought that at first
Mm-hmm.
because acute is short term,
Mm-hmm.
and because it says down here, he recovered his memory.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made me think acute. But then,
Mm-hmm. Because it was
yeah,
short.
yeah, that's what I. Well, I knew the answer was on the side, but
Yeah.
it's But if we
So,
didn't, I
yeah,
guess,
have that you would have went to acute.
yeah,
So
honestly.
what pulled out the dissociative amnesia? We all know amnesia is forgetting things, right? The
Hmm.
dissociative part comes in where, let's see, hospital by the police after an altercation in a park. So one here. Not
Okay.
saying that he's disassociative there, but that's something to look at because he had an altercation in a park. He is unable to provide. So he really, right here, he
Okay.
wasn't able to probably tell them his name, who he is, where he at, how he's feeling. So that part is the disassociative part, right? And then he reports having no memory before he arrived at the hospital. So that's the dissociative amnesia. And the police check reveals that he is executive of a large company in the nearby city who has laid off a few days ago. And that's where whatever that word starts to be. So I can see why I would have picked stress disorder too, because dang, he got laid off. It was short and he recovered his memory, but he recovered it after a week-long
Week
stay in the
long.
hospital.
Okay. So I guess you would think back to the DSM,
Uh-huh.
because the
The
symptoms have to match,
duration.
the duration
Yeah,
have to match.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Now, you would see something like this, and you will also see something like number two. Can somebody read number two? I hate that the answers are right there, but let's go with it. This is
A,
a question you for sure will see on the NCE.
a school therapist receives a referral for a 13-year-old boy for inattention and poor grades. During observations and interactions with the student, the therapist experienced the boy as intelligent and highly verbal, but notes that he has difficulty following instructions and reports that he avoids reading and writing activities.
All
The
right.
initial di- oh, okay.
No, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'll talk. I'm sorry.
the initial diagnosis is most likely A, conduct disorder, B, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, predominantly inattentive type, C, autism spectrum disorder, D, learning disorder.
Do you know why it's a learning disorder?
Because uh, he's actually intelligent and highly verbal.
So that takes
Uh,
away what?
that takes away the autism.
Only for the verbal part, right? Because they have some
Yeah.
kids that's autistic and is geniuses. So
Mhm.
the verbal part, I'll take away autism. What else?
Okay. The conduct, she didn't say anything about behavior.
Exactly. Conduct disorder just straight up mean this kid is BAD, period.
Okay. Now, here's the tricky part. For the attention deficit,
Uh-huh.
that's only one part. He's not showing the hyperactivity
Uh-huh.
disorder, and he's not mainly inattentive. So
Mm-hmm.
you would take that out, and then that's where learning disorder would
So here's your secret for knowing it's a learning disorder right here.
be.
Okay, I've
He,
never heard of a learning disorder.
okay, perfect. So of course, I used to be a special ed teacher, so I got you, trust me. So when you are dealing with kiddos, of course, that's where that law come in, that PL 149 da 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 whatever it is for idea, right? And it's speaking about the least restrictive environment. So here's the thing. We see a kid that may be needing some assessment because we're learning that they are just failing a lot, right? So we might pull out an intelligence test. Now that's what all of the assessments and all of that comes into play. So we pull out an intelligence test. Now we can give them the intelligence test of giving them the Whistler. And since this kid is 13, which one would I be giving him? Anybody that study assessment, y'all better know this.
Isn't it the Westler one or something like that?
The
The
whisk
WISP
with
with
the
a
With
C,
C.
with the C for children. So I can give him that. I can give him something called the Woodcock-Johnson. That's usually what they test to see if any kids are, having problems. I can give them any intelligence test that will test to see if there's something. So here's when we know they have a problem. Once I give them this assessment, I get the score. I have to put the score into central measures of tendency, which means I'm going to do it. I have to make these raw scores standards. So what do I do?
You need mode.
I need the mean, median, and mode. Absolutely. After I get the mean, median, and mode, what do I do next?
Bell curve.
I put them on the bell curve. Once I put them on the bell curve and I check everything out and I look to see where did this kid score. If this kid scored below 70, this kid has an intellectual disability. All right. Once I notice they have an intellectual disability or may have some kind of disabilities, or maybe, the scores are probably all over the place, then I would test them specifically in certain sections like subjects and things like that. So that's when I would give them a vertical test. I have to use vertical testing, and what does vertical testing mean? I mean horizontal testing. What does that mean?
All subjects across the same grade level?
All subjects across the grade level and see where they're scoring. Now, I noticed they scored 70 on the bell curve or whatever, so I know that there's some kind of intellectual disability. However, now I can see that maybe it's specific learning disability. So maybe they have a learning disability in reading and writing. So back to right here. A learning disorder would be they actually do have a problem with probably reading fluency or math calculations. So when we're speaking idea and we're speaking special ed, you have 13 categories that a child would fit in if they are scoring 70 and below on your bell curve. So this is why it's important for assessment and testing. All right. I hope I'm not speaking Spanish. So your keywords here, if we talking about ADHD, then yes, we're looking for hyperactivity, right? We're looking for this kid to be bouncing off the wall, not able to keep still, probably is being disruptive and things like that. Then we can look at ADHD. If we're looking at ADD, which is the inattentive type, that kid is just staring into space and not picking up anything. Conduct disorder kind of comes into a student or a kid. Yeah, start at the beginning, but as they get older, a conduct disorder, this kid would do something to where they would get in trouble with the law. That's a conduct disorder. That's kind of like oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, but conduct disorder is right there. So when you see that they report to avoid certain subjects, they have a learning disorder. So when kids typically have a learning disorder, when it's math time or when it's reading time, they gonna act a fool because they know they can get put out of class and they wouldn't be put on the spot, especially if the teacher is calling on kids to read out loud. All right.
So is this only in children?
It could be in adults too, but it gets diagnosed as children. It gets diagnosed in school. So that's why it's important to know that intelligence testing typically happens in school.
Okay.
So all your intelligence testing, if we're doing the Stafford-Binet, we're testing to see if this kid is GT. If we're doing the Whistler, or the Whisk, or sometimes the Whipsy, because we have kids that's in pre-K, or in preschool, they're getting tested to see if we need to go further into helping them intellectually, or they're scoring pretty high that they might be GT. So yes, most of the time it's diagnosed in school, but not all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's try three. If you have never heard of pica, here's your chance.
I'll read. A therapist evaluates a 6-year-old girl with moderately severe cerebral palsy. Among other symptoms, the parents report that their daughter is often observed attempting to chew and eat non-foods, including sand and houseplants. Some,
Hmm.
sometimes they are able to intervene while she is chewing on the item, but has been hospitalized on one occasion for ingesting leaves from a potential harmful plant. What is the most likely diagnosis in this case?
Okay, I
A.
got you.
Oh,
Yes. Do you know what encopresis is?
no.
Okay, so encopresis mean that a kid or a person actually poops on themselves on purpose. Yes. It can be because they're mad. It can be um in kids with conduct disorders, like they will poop on themselves, reach in their underwear and probably smear it on a wall or smear it
Hmm.
somewhere to be mad. So encopresis is they poop on themselves. Then you have the autism spectrum disorder, which everyone knows what that is, right? So you might see physical signs, kids that flap, that they say walk on their toes, but that's not like textbook. I mean, it's not a strong determination that these kids are autistic. They might order everything by color and size. They might be very sensitive to sound. They don't have really good social interactions with people. They really don't have facial expressions, so they don't know how to do that. And that's on the autism spectrum disorder. Rumination, do y'all know what that means?
That's where you repetitively repeat the same thing over and over.
Well, actually, this is when you eat. Some people eat and they throw it up and chew it again.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Yes. The for autism, what you're talking about is echolalia.
Mm, okay.
Yeah. Echolalia. And then pica. Pica is when people eat non-food items. They will eat plants, they would eat foam in like
Cornstarch.
starch.
Mm-hmm.
Play dirt. Is
Like,
Sometimes they
yeah,
eat
dirt,
their hair. They eat their hair.
ice,
I
ice.
yes. They eat non-food items and it can be very dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
If if I remember this one, I don't know of this scenario, but Pika is on the exam.
Oh,
I do
Pika
know
is
that.
on the exam, and
Pika is on the exam.
this one for sure. Matter of fact, this whole question looked like one that is actually on the
Mm-hmm.
exam, just to let y'all know. So I thought this was very helpful. Now let's look at four, please, somebody.
Um, oh, if y'all want to jump in, please. It's
Thank
okay.
you.
But
I appreciate you, and let me know when you're tired. I'll jump in.
a therapist begins treatment with a child diagnosed with ADHD and intends to use cognitive behavioral treatment to help improve the child's concentration. The therapist will most likely need the help to help the child in which additional area? A, expressive language, B, social skills, C, basic hygiene, D, bladder control.
Okay, now if
what?
you didn't
Not
know it
that.
was social skills, where would you have picked? Would you have picked
Um,
social?
I I would have picked social because I know some ADHD is common
Yes.
and I have a kid, but if those three weren't and I was left with expressive like with some other things, I would have picked that too because it's
Yeah.
closely related. Um,
Yes.
because
Yes.
they typically have a difficulty with expressing themselves,
They
which
do,
yeah.
which is really big in kids with autism as well. And most of the time, when you look at the expressive language, this kid is probably getting speech therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Basic hygiene, we teach that to all kids, but mainly if we're looking at life skills, then that's more so of our life skill population. That's kids probably who have Down syndrome, have like severe autism where they're not vocal and they cannot produce sound, they can't do anything and tell you, and things like that. And then bladder control, that's just, it could be a life skill, but most of the life skill babies I see and I've had, they were able to be potty trained. Some were not, but that's pre-K, period, you know. Social skills, on the other hand, for a kid with ADHD, I can just tell you right now, they do not know personal space. They
Mhm.
don't know what personal space is. They
Mhm.
just want to touch you and play with your hair, and they just don't know how to control it. They're very impulsive, like
Mhm.
very, like they just do things if it's not under control. So, social skills is the big thing that you want to do to help them understand. You have to ask for a hug. You have to ask if you can play with their pins and stuff, because they'll just do it. So, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
That some of them can grow out of it, but
Some of
it,
them can grow out of it, but baby, when they are in elementary school, I still have some that come in my office and they are severe. They have ADHD, the cutest thing, but they would start playing with my hair, and I'm like, if you don't stop touching my hair, like if you leave my stuff alone, that's why they like coming in there with me, because they don't get in trouble for real. It's just, you need to learn how to stop. All right.
uh,
Yes.
a couple enters treatment with a therapist due to increasing conflicts and distance after 2 years of marriage. The
Mhm.
man reports feeling as if his wife needs his approval for everything, and he's exhausted with her constant worries and questions about what she should do. The woman endorses frequent worries about her husband leaving her or dying young and states that she only asks his opinion because she trusts him more than I trust myself. The man says that he feels more like a parent than a husband and that this can't continue. The woman's
Mhm.
diagnosis is most likely A, avoidant personality, B, histrionic personality, D, dependent personality, and D, generalized anxiety disorder.
All right. So when I see that avoidant, that's more of that attachment theory. There are so many people, and trust me, if you do your research, you will look to see what's your attachment. Um, I know for a long time I probably had an attachment avoidance kind of thing. Like I would get close to people, and when I feel like they're getting a little bit too close, I would just ghost them. No lie. 'Cause I don't know, the way I grew up, it's like you get the love, but then it disappears and all of this or whatever. But avoidance would mean he would be pushing away, or
Mhm.
she would be pushing away. But right now she's more like, I need you to basically run my life for me. So she's
I
not
can't
avoiding. So
function.
we'll take that away, right?
Yeah.
Have anybody ever heard of a histrionic personality? I promise you, you know somebody just like this. Do
No,
Yeah,
anybody?
Yeah.
no, I haven't
I've
heard
heard,
of this
I've heard
before.
that before.
Yes,
They
I heard it
are
with
those,
Dr. Pam.
grandiose.
yes. They have to be the center of attention everywhere they go.
Hmm.
They are the ones that will wear a fur coat and it's just a little cold outside. Everybody
So
got on jeans and a t-shirt. They got on heels and a skirt and a
attention
glitter and a
seekers.
big old chain and a fan, and just doing the most. They just do the most. They have to be the center of attention.
Yeah,
And that
attention
even
seekers.
can, yeah, attention seeking. Grandiosity is part of it. Like, I am the gift to this world. Like, the party got better because I walked in, Like, this was so boring without me. That's a
Thank you. Thank you.
histrionic.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here.
Yeah, yes, yes. And I did like a little joke today because at my gym, I had reached 50 camps. So it's like a CrossFit kind of thing. So I reached 50 camps, and I did a joke, and one of the girls that work out with me, I was like, I would like to thank, my trainers. And then she said something real funny. She was like, I would like to thank me for being me. And if I wasn't me, this wouldn't be possible. So that's a histrionic. Like,
Got it.
it's all about me. Dependent personality disorder, they are going to live their life solely dependent on somebody else making decisions for them. And we all know what GAD is. generalized anxiety disorder, and that probably would have left you with C and D if you looked at our keywords to see constant worries. But what we always do when we're reading the test question, yes, it says that, but what is it asking us? So we can read all of this, but all we really need to know is this. All right?
She needs
That's
approval for everything. Um,
mm-hmm. Look what the husband's saying.
yeah.
I feel more like a parent, so that means as a kid, you do what with your parents? You solely depend on
I
them.
don't know.
Yeah. So that's how you look at that one. Tourette's.
A therapist is
Uh,
asked to go.
I was going to number 6.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Not a problem. A therapist is asked to evaluate a 5-year-old boy whose parents are concerned about his inability to sit still periodically at school. During the interview, the boy makes multiple barking noises, blinks almost constantly, and jerks his right arm back and forth. His parents report that these symptoms started in preschool and are getting, what does that say? I can't,
What?
it's like
What?
okay, some was in the
Oh,
way of their son learning and making friends. Most, what is the most likely diagnosis at this time? Tourette's disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, stereotypic movement disorder, autism spectrum disorder, a Tourette's.
of course, everybody knows it's Tourette's, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. A kid with autism would not be doing no barking noises. Here's your keyword, blinks. It's uncontrollable movements, jerks, back and forth. All of these things is given Tourette's. ADHD, not really, because they're not gonna do all of that unless they're trying to get on your nerves. Or, they can control all of those things. They just can't sit still. They just can't, stay in one place and they all over the place. Um, Stereotypic movement disorder, the barking and the noise wouldn't come from that. You can just see like ticks, basically, right? Because there is some people who get in control of their Tourette's and just have the tick. But if it's Tourette's, voice like words are coming out. And I know they have this girl on social media, she record herself and people think she's faking, but her Tourette's is where she tick and she start cursing people out. Um, it's actually a thing. I don't know how it becomes vulgar, but yeah, it's coupled with uncontrollable words or things that comes out. So of course we would have got Tourette's, right, guys? Now, as
Right.
encopresis is poop, enuresis is the urine. So y'all can look at that. A diagnosis of enuresis is appropriate when urine is unintentionally voided at least twice weekly and the patient is at least 5 years old. This kid is just they would pee. In compresis, they will poop. So those two things. Okay. Now, I remember I told y'all the story about that kid in my school and his mama. Read
Mm-hmm.
number 8.
A school therapist is asked to evaluate an 8-year-old girl who has been crying frequently in class and complaining of stomach aches. When a therapist interviews the student begs the therapist to let her go home and be with her mother and also expresses fears that something might happen to her mom. What is the
Hmm.
most likely diagnosis in this case?
Hmm.
PTSD, separation anxiety, school phobia, or GAD, and we know it's separation anxiety disorder.
Yes, do you know how we got separation anxiety disorder? Because if I didn't see the
Mm-hmm.
answer, I would have been left with, I
I
would have probably said PTSD. I would have left that
uh-huh.
there.
Me
I
too.
probably would have left GAD. and separation disorder. I've never heard of school phobia.
Neither. I think I would have left PTSD because it almost sounded like maybe something happened to mom for her to
Yeah,
think that something may happen to
absolutely.
mom.
But this is why you wouldn't have picked that because they didn't say something
Mm-hmm.
tragically happened to the
Mm-hmm.
mother. Do you get how that works?
Correct.
So you literally just look at what they are giving you and what they're asking you. We can come up with so many scenarios, but for this test, we cannot. We need to look exactly what they're saying and exactly what they are asking us. So, a school therapist evaluated the 8-year-old that has been crying frequently in class and complaining of stomach aches. That's the first thing they're gonna do because one, she's having panic attacks and her stomach might do hurt because she might be nervous or she might, sick to her stomach, basically. Once they have that problem and they cry, these kids know if I'm crying like crazy and the teacher can't calm me down, I'm either gonna go to the nurse or I'm gonna go to the counselor. When they get to the counselor, they get to the nurse and they finally got their way out, they would literally beg you to call their mom and they would get so upset if you do not call the parent. So she begged and she said, "Let me go home to be with my mother." And she expressed that she had fears and sometimes, I mean, something bad might happen to the mom. That's exactly what this kid does. And you remember I told y'all that the mom, she has it too, that she would drive around in a car ride line about 5, 6 times before letting the child out. And I'm talking about panic attack, and it's hard to separate them two. Like I have to break them apart. My partner would take the little boy, and I would sit there hugging the mom while she cry. Like it's serious. Separation anxiety. Where do separation anxiety where would we see that if we're talking um helping relationships? Who talks about it?
Ainsworth, Margaret Mailer.
Mary Margaret
Yeah.
Mailer, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Mailer. Remember in her stages, she talked about individuation, separation, autistic, and all of those things. So at a certain age, you will start to notice, and you will start to notice when they're talking about attachment styles. So you have these different attachment styles, and sometimes if the attachment is really, really good, you will notice if a kid is starting to suffer with separation anxiety. If your kid, after a while, you drop them off at daycare, but they still cry, and they've been in daycare for 2 years, then you need to start looking to see this kid might have separation anxiety. Okay? Number 9.
A mother brings her 5-year-old daughter for therapy. She's referred by the school. The mother fearfully reports that the teacher said that the daughter seems autistic because she doesn't talk or interact with peers. The mother reports that the daughter plays with her older siblings and cousins and talks a lot at home with their extended family. What differential diagnosis should be considered? A,
Mm-hmm.
separation anxiety disorder, B, social phobia, C, generalized anxiety disorder, or D, selective
Have
mutism.
anybody heard of a selective mute person? That can be in the DSM as conversion disorder. Have anybody heard of that?
Mm-mm.
hmm There's a story about Maya Angelou.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes kids will go selective mute if something tragic happened to them and they just stop talking. And they can stop talking for months. They can stop talking for years. If it become like 2 years or a long period of time, then we're looking at conversion disorder, aka selective mutism. The story about Maya Angelou, she told a story about how somebody in the neighborhood, some dudes in the neighborhood raped her. And she went back home and she told the uncle that exactly who it was who raped her, and the uncles and the dad and all them went out and killed those people. For to her, she feel like her telling them got somebody hurt. So she stopped talking for 6 months. That is conversion disorder, aka selective mutism. Okay? Are we learning?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Number 10. Now you're going to see what conduct disorder looks like in a question.
You know
I'll
what 10
read
is.
this one.
Oh,
An 11-year-old boy is referred to the school therapist for excessive truancy, which means he don't come to school a lot. An assessment with the boy's parents reveals several incarceration. Remember I said a conduct disorder, they gonna do something to go to jail. Matter of fact, here go another, I love stories because that's what y'all will remember. We is I don't know, we still like we're going into November and we're still getting new registration that's coming into schools. And this one registration came through and we were looking at it, but we started looking deep into it. The boy was actually 11. He was in a foster home, but because of his age, we was like, look like he should be in sixth grade and really not fifth grade. And the foster mom was like, oh, so what school would he go to? We said, well, ma'am, that would be a middle school. So when we get registration, we get everything. We get court paperwork, attorney paperwork, everything. So we have to go through it to see how we need to place these kids. And this 11-year-old has already been incarcerated. So that tells us he might have a conduct disorder. So that's going to give us a hard time trying to place him somewhere because it's not going to be a regular kid that's just bad. This kid already been to jail and he's 11 years old. He can do damage. He can stab a teacher. He can, these are the high alerts that you need to look for. So anybody with a conduct disorder, they are liable to break the law. They're going to be in jail. Okay.
So oh, sorry, this one's kind of interesting because oppositional defiant disorder is relatively close.
It
So,
is, but a
mhm.
kid with ODD do not want to hurt you. That's the difference. A
Oh,
kid
okay.
with oppositional defiant disorder, they just want to piss you off. And I'm gonna just say it like that. They
Hence
don't
the
want
word
to do,
defiant.
yeah, they just defiant. Like you say sit down, they gonna stand up. You say don't go out that door, they gonna go out the door. They gonna do stuff like that. Conduct disorder, oh, they gonna do some stuff. They gonna go to
Oh,
jail. They are just bad. ODD, they just defiant. Like you ask them to do something, they won't do it on purpose just to make you mad. And it's nothing they can help. And they would not argue with you. They would be so quiet. Because I got two of them.
but
They
then
would
what
not.
about antisocial personality though? Because
So
that one's supposed.
antisocial, they are quiet. They're
Hmm.
quiet, but they are social. I know it's saying antisocial, but they just secretly want to kill you. They
Okay, and
secretly,
or
yeah.
annoy you, because
Yeah,
they'll
they
keep
just
going and going too.
absolutely, they just want to see you in pain. And they see those become serial killers.
Yeah. Hmm.
Anti-social. I know it sounds contradicting, like you would think that they don't talk. No, they're actually social. They just secretly want to kill you.
Mm.
Conduct disorder. Look, he was incarcerated in the juvenile detention center for selling drugs, and the parents report a long-standing inability to enforce limits or consequences with him. His teacher describes him as quiet and disinterested in school, although the therapists know the boy has a reputation as a bully. So you see anything about breaking the law, that's a conduct disorder. ODD, they don't even want to argue with you. Like I have a kid, he quiet with it, but he'll walk out of class and he'll just go sit somewhere. And you're like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't want to be in there. All right, so can we go to the office? No. So can you walk with me? No, you could sit down. That's him. And it's just a straight affect. He won't do anything to hurt anybody. He won't do anything like that, but he's just defiant. Bipolar 1 disorder, yeah, they might have manic episodes, but they're not gonna do anything like that, like selling drugs or doing things that's gonna break the law. Anything breaking the law, that's a conduct disorder. Okay?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no.
Absolutely. 11. Remember, we talked about schizophreniform, schizophrenia, schizoaffective.
A client is referred to a therapist after being discharged from the psychiatric hospital. The records indicate that he has been hearing voices for the past 4 months and he believes he is being followed. According to the DSM 5 criteria, the most likely diagnosis for the client is A, brief psychotic disorder, B,
Mhm.
schizophrenia, C, schizoaffective disorder,
Mhm.
D, schizophreniform
Reniform,
disorder.
yes. So remember, for it to be full out schizophrenia, how long they have to
Six
have
six months.
6
6 months.
months.
Yeah.
So we can scratch that out.
Mhm.
So he had 4 months. If it's schizoaffective, what would it say in this question?
Less than 30 days. Give it a
Less than 30 days.
3
And
to
what
30
else
days.
would it be
Depression.
given? It would be given depression
Depression.
signs. Yes,
Yeah,
he's
not
just
manic.
straight up down, you know. So schizoaffective mean they just mute. They just down. They have things of depression. Brief psychotic disorder, it is very brief. Like brief, probably 1, 2 days, a few weeks or whatever, not for 4 months. But when we're speaking of schizophreniform, it is going to be coming as a form of schizophrenia, but not full out schizophrenia because it's only 4 months. So to give you all the symptoms of schizophrenia, but the only way we know it's not schizophrenia is because it didn't hit that 6 month mark. Got it?
So it's schizophreniform.
Yep, schizophreniform.
Gotcha.
Only because it didn't hit 6 months. If it was 6 months, straight up
Must be
schizophrenia.
schizophrenia.
12. During an assessment, a therapist in a medical clinic finds that a patient has a decrease in libido. What was libido? Y'all should
Sex
know.
drive.
Yes, Freud talk about this, Lord. What energy is in a libido? What personality?
Id.
The id, yes. Difficulty sleeping and feeling of what I said the key word is
Hope.
Hopelessness.
hopelessness for the last month. What is this person having? Female sexual interest arousal disorder,
No.
persistent depressive disorder, major depressive disorder, or adjustment disorder.
Major. C.
MDD, yes, MDD. Persistent depressive disorder is a thing, but that means it went on for 2 years or more. It was a long time for them to be depressed. But as we see here in the last month. Remember, we talked about adjustment disorder, but the adjustment disorder, if they have all of these signs, adjustment disorder is a safe way to say maybe they have maybe they're depressed, maybe they just down for a second, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's this. So that's a safer option to diagnose a client with. And sometimes you'll see adjustment disorder with anxiety, adjustment disorder with depression, or you just see adjustment disorder. And that gives you a lead way to work with the client to see what it is and still give them a diagnosis so they can submit it to their insurance so they can still pay for therapy. Okay? But yes, that is MDD at its finest. Let's look at bipolar 1. Now, this
A,
25 pages, so I'm gonna send it to y'all, but we just going over the first few. Okay?
a 35-year-old woman enters with a treatment with a therapist. During the assessment, the therapist learns that she has been on lithium for several
Mm,
years and was hospitalized after an episode in which she did not sleep for a week.
mm.
Sold her brother's car and used the money to go to Las Vegas.
What I
Based on the
told y'all about them
information,
bipolar ones. What did I
Based
tell you?
based on the information, what is the client's most likely diagnosis?
What did I tell you about them bipolar ones? They do some stuff and don't know what they did until they wake up or they get out of that manic
But that was
episode.
borderline personality disorder.
Oh no, that's bipolar and yes, borderline personality, but that bipolar does that. If they're in a high manic, only when they're in a manic episode.
Manic.
Only when they're in a manic episode, they real high, they delusional, they can't sleep. So they do impulsive things. They buy so many things. They do all of this. Borderline personality is the same thing, but that bipolar, when they're in that manic episode, they do things like stuff like this. Sold
And
the brother car.
it's the lithium that gives it away,
And
but they no
yes,
longer
that's
they don't longer use lithium. It's
absolute why was that's the
uh,
only medicine that what
uh
It required blood tests because it got the
you
same thing as like lithium batteries.
yeah.
Absolutely. It requires a blood test because it is lethal basically. So you see lithium, that's the medicine they use, or I'm pretty sure it's different things now for bipolar 1
Yeah.
disorder. Cyclothamic. Do y'all know what that is?
Yeah, I heard of that. Cyclothymia.
Yes, it's just like bipolar, but it comes with depressive moods.
Okay.
So of course we know if they're in a manic episode, they're not depressed. They're doing the most.
Yeah.
Bipolar 2, there's no manic episodes, but they have what? Hypo,
Hyper, right?
Hypoman.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
hypomanias, and it only lasts how long?
what is it, like a day or
4 days. About 4 days. Unspecific impulse control disorder. To be honest, I never heard of that in my life, but I'm pretty sure it might be something, but that's not this. This
Mhm.
is your key right there. We knew it was bipolar because of the lithium. And then right here, after an episode and she did not sleep for a week and she sold her brother car and used the money to go to Las Vegas, we know right there she's having a manic episode. So bipolar 1. Good job. Let's do this agoraphobia since we talked about it.
let's see. Uh, a 34-year-old woman calls a therapist in a community clinic and inquires about the possibility of internet therapy or phone sessions. He reports that he is unable to leave the house or use public transportation due to extreme anxiety. The
Hmm.
therapist will most likely diagnose the man with A, general anxiety disorder, B, agoraphobia, C, panic disorder, D, social disorder.
You're gonna see a question like this on the NCE. And
Mhm.
because he is unable to leave that house, what would we diagnose him with? Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia.
Yes,
Studying.
you remember I said that's the people you see order out all the time. They're not leaving that house. They feel
Yeah.
safe in this house. If I go out there, I'm going to die. Something's going to happen to me. And remember, I told you I was watching Dr. Now, the bariatric surgeon,
Mhm.
and there was a client of his that did not come to that office because they were scared to leave the house. And ever since then, when he said, "Well, you have agoraphobia," you know how he talked to them, I'll always
Mhm.
remember that. So there you go. Social anxiety.
Let's see. A 45-year-old married mother of two self-refers to a therapist in private practice. She reports a strong desire to return to the workforce now that her children are in high school, but she reports that she's been canceling her scheduled interviews due to panic and fear that she will embarrass herself during the interview. What is the most likely diagnosis? A, panic disorder, B, social anxiety disorder, C, agoraphobia without history of panic disorder, D, unspecified anxiety disorder.
Yep. So I would have been left with A and B. I don't know about y'all. And then I would have went back here to see the last couple of sentences. She kept canceling her scheduled interview due to panic and fear that she will embarrass herself. Now, I would have picked panic disorder because I seen panic. But
Mm.
most of the time, panicking doesn't really come with fear, if that makes sense. Sometimes people get in their head and they start to panic. Like, I'm just panicking. Like, for an example, I was on the phone with my friend and her daughter, she dropped her daughter off at her mom's house because she was supposed to wash her clothes and spend her time on the weekend. Well, when her mama came, she only washed one load. And her mom said, "Well, what you was doing?" And then all of a sudden she started panicking. And it wasn't because of fear, she was panicking because she knows she didn't do something right. And she wasn't feared because my friend doesn't discipline her kids like I do. I'm just saying. It was more so I know I'm wrong and I can do this to probably get out of something. And I'm panicking because I've been caught in the act. Does that make sense? So the social part comes in when she said, right there. She would be embarrassed. She will embarrass herself during the interview. You will also see a scenario where it's a company party and the person is scared to go and they have panic, they start to panic, but it's the reason why they're panicking is that's what's going to tell you what what the panic is all about. And here right here is fear of being social. Fear of being social. Of course, we would know what post-traumatic stress disorder would be, right? So a therapist in a community agency in this oh Lord, initiates an intake with a 19-year-old immigrant from Mexico who reports recurrent nightmares, right? Can y'all hear me? Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
During which the death of her younger brother during their journey to the US is reenacted. She tells the therapist that she tries to start school when she arrived 2 months ago, but was unable to concentrate, another keyword, and could only see her brother face in her mind. So she having those thoughts, nightmares, unable to concentrate. Her family does not hold her responsible for her brother's death, but she reports feeling disconnected from them and does not know what to do. Would y'all have picked PTSD?
Um,
All your keywords in there that say PTSD. What was the
yeah,
keywords?
nightmares for me.
Nightmares. What else was a keyword?
Um,
See her brother face in her mind.
Unable to concentrate. Only see her brother face in her mind. And she reports feeling disconnected from her family. That would have gave me PTSD. Trying to find something else. Malingering.
A 22-year-old client is referred by his lawyer after being accused of burglary. The lawyer claims that the client is depressed. When the therapist meets with the client states that he is depressed but cannot identify any specific symptoms. The most likely diagnosis is A, major depressive disorder, B, facetious disorder, C, malingering, or D, conversion disorder.
Okay. We already said what conversion disorder was, right? What was that? Y'all remember? Maya
His
Angelou?
Oh,
histrionic
the mutism.
the
Yes.
Yes, the
Yes.
mutism.
Uh-huh. We know what major depressing disorder is, right? Remember we talked
Yes,
about fictitious disorder. What was that?
not real. Not real.
Now, malingering is a form of a fictitious. However, this person knew they were in trouble. And then they start to show signs of this, right? What malingering means is the act of exaggerating an illness. Okay, so knowing all of this was happening, they started to do things because legal action was being taken. So it was a lawyer, they got accused of burglary. So at that point, they start to do something called malingering, is when they exaggerate the illness or injury, and then or some people use it to avoid going to work and say, I need FMLA because I'm just having all of these problems. But most of the time they do that to get out of trouble or to get financial benefits. So some people change or probably exaggerate their illness to Social Security, or they do it with their kids to get a check. This is serious. It's called malingering, which means exaggerating the illness to gain something from it. Okay.
Like, the shoplifters at Walmart, like when they get arrested and they start hyperventilating like they're gonna fall
Uh-huh.
out,
Yep.
that's malingering.
Yep. That's malingering. Like I said, rewriting things to the Social Security office, trying to make something bigger than what it is, and trying to get a Social Security check,
Mhm.
things like that. Are trying to get out of trouble, are trying to get out of work. Anything like that is malingering. Bulimia, this is how it would look in the question.
A healthy looking 16-year-old girl is referred to the school therapist after being found purposefully vomiting in the bathroom after lunch. The girl reports binge eating several times per week and then vomiting in order to avoid weight gain.
There you
She
go.
reports she reports feeling that she will be called a loser if she gains weight. The most likely diagnosis is A, bulimia nervosa, B, anorexia nervosa, C, unspecified eating disorder, D, body dysmorphic disorder. This one's on the test.
Mm-hmm.
This one's on the test
Absolutely. And you would know that it was bulimia. Why?
because she purposefully goes in the bathroom. She looks
Yes.
healthy and
She's healthy
healthy.
looking. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So we can already take away anorexic
Anorexic.
because they do not look healthy at all. Have anybody been watching Wicked?
No, we ain't seen it
Have
yet.
y'all seen Ariana Grande?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That do
I
not
think
look
she is.
healthy.
Mm-mm.
That is
She did
not
that for this
healthy.
role.
Both of them look horrible. It is not
Yeah.
healthy. They absolutely have to be anorexic because you could see bones and all of that. No. Um, so she look healthy. She purposely go vomit after she eats. She binge eat several times per week and then vomit. That's straight up bulimia. This will be on your test. Matter of fact, half of all of these things we just read, that's what your DSM test will look like. Not even lying to you.
Brittany, how many DSM questions are on the test?
It can go from 8 to 5 to 10.
Yeah,
And
it
10
wasn't
would be
that
the
many.
most. I think I only had like, if I can remember, probably like 4. Either
Yeah, I
4
had
or
like
3.
5. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's about that range.
It's
And they
not
ask you, yeah, it's scenarios just like this.
just like
How we
this.
broke these down, that's just how it is.
Okay, thank
Absolutely.
you.
I promise I won't steer y'all wrong. I promise. But it's just
Did
like this. Matter of fact, the learning disorder is one I had. This bulimia one, I had this one. I had the conduct disorder one. And of course, some depression ones and some anxiety ones. And that's it.
yes. Did you show the slideshow you had before the PowerPoint and the
Mm-hmm.
one you made last time?
Yes,
Okay,
it's in the
all the
Google.
stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, all the stuff that's on that PowerPoint is on that test. And
Yeah.
yeah, because it's all those diagnoses. They're not going to go too far on the
No,
DSM.
they not. They know that we like I keep saying, and I'm gonna always repeat this, they know that you have not really sat in that therapist seat, so they're not gonna go deep. That's why I say,
Mm-hmm.
please don't read the DSM. It's not that deep, I promise.
Mm-mm.
It's straight up just like this. And when
It's
I
those
saw this
main ones.
today, yeah, when I saw this today, I said, this is perfect. The Pika on there too. I had that Pika one. And I knew, I was like, ooh, that's eating things.
Yeah, they're not gonna go, they gonna go into like the main disorder that mostly everyone is
Mm-hmm.
pretty much diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenia, schizoaffect, all those. Yeah.
Yes, yes. They didn't even ask me medicine questions, but
Mm-mm.
I just thought that this would be a great thing for y'all to look into, and I would definitely put it into the Google Classroom. Um, just remember looking at those keywords and don't let your mind wander. Like it's so many things that we can create, but literally just look at what they asking you and go off of that.
I'm passing this test.
Yes, you
I'm
will.
passing. Man. Oh, I'm mad I'm even back.
Yes. Any questions? I also have another PowerPoint I'm gonna put under there too. It would be part two of that PowerPoint that I had, which I was talking about. Oh, sorry, y'all. That's my mama. Is there any
I'm gonna
more?
just
Mm-hmm.
no, this week I'm gonna just go back for review. I know it's the holidays. I'm gonna just go back,
Yes.
read, look at the PowerPoint, look at Dr. Pam's, and I'm probably gonna test